Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and you are at Estelle of Imladris for another episode of Seems Right, my show about costuming and storytelling. Hopefully I am not muted, which I'm getting better at. Before we get started, thank you. Before we get started, some quick things. First of all, to all of my lovely trans siblings, trans followers, I love you all. Thank you for being here. I know the world is very hard right now, but you are loved, you are seen, and you are valid. Second of all, for those who celebrate, I'm wishing you a peaceful and blessed Ramadan. I stand against the genocide and ethnic cleansing of Palestine and the West Bank and implore everyone to give what you can to aid organizations trying to care for Palestinians during this difficult and sacred months. Free Palestine and all oppressed peoples of the world, and have a blessed and peaceful Ramadan. And with that, let's get into some announcements really quick. Oh my goodness, thank you for the sub, Elala. Amazing. Thank you so much. As a quick reminder, followers and following and subscribing to my channel helps me, an independent content creator, with all of my many projects that I have going on, and helps allow me to continue to make independent content for you all to enjoy, and doing things like talking about costuming and storytelling as just a thing that I think everyone should talk about more, and sharing all of my knowledge with all of you. So thank you so much for your follows, for your subscriptions. I super appreciate it, and I'm just excited that you're all here because I love talking about the subject for today. So, before we get all the way in, as you might have noticed, I'm streaming on a Monday, which I haven't done recently, because I have a kind of wild schedule this week. So, for those of you who are either in San Francisco, just because you're there, or at the Game Developers Conference this weekend over at the GDC, tomorrow you can catch me over at the Foundry SF for the second annual Zero Proof Game Night, which is a non-alcoholic after hours party at Game Developers Conference. Oh my gosh, hype train. Oh my god, you guys are all being so nice to me already. We just started. Thank you so much for the sub, OMG Flan. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. So many things are happening in this stream already. You guys are all being so wonderful. We were just getting into the announcements before we even talking about anything fun. Okay, so Zero Proof Game Night is a non-alcoholic after party at the GDC on Tuesday night. It is a charity event sponsored by Gay Gaming Professionals, which is a organization that promotes queer people in professional gaming, including scholarships and mentorships. And I will be there running Dungeons & Dragons at this official Wizards of the Coast sponsored event where we are running Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering all night. To attend, if you are able, you can sign up through this Partyful link that I've just sent to the chat. It's going to be a really good time. I'm super excited. I love running tables, and it's going to be a really good, quick, fun time. So yeah, come check that out. And then also today, for those of you who celebrate Happy St. Patrick's Day, to all of my beloved, specifically Irish Americans and Irish people around the world, and to celebrate a game that I had the sincere pleasure of being a part of, Banshee, released today. It is an independent, free-to-play narrative walking game where you journey through death and heritage, meeting your ancestors through their memories of personal and collective resistance to systems of power, starting in prehistoric Ireland and culminating in a reunion with lost loved ones. Over the course of your journey, you learn about yourself and the power of legacy and compassion you built in your life. You should definitely check it out. It's got some names that if you follow my channel, you probably know besides just me involved. It's a really great story. There's some really wonderful characters in it, and it is my first official gaming voice credit. So it's a really good time. I'm so honored to be a part of it. So you check that out. Again, free to play. The system requirements to play it are also very low. So please go check that out. And now, without further ado, let's talk about today's subject. Today's subject for Seems Right is cosplay. Today I am wearing just a light version of one of my absolute favorite cosplays that I have of Poe Dameron from The Force Awakens. Only wearing parts of it, but you know, whatever. It's comfy and I love it. Let's talk a lot about what is cosplay, how does it relate to storytelling, and what does it mean to explore character in such a personal and transformative art. So, first of all, a little bit about... I don't know why my chat just reloaded, but here we go. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts today of what it takes to cosplay. A little bit of what I see are the systemic hurdles and issues with cosplay, as well as problem solving, simple problems that we've all run into. But I'm also going to talk about my background as a cosplayer, how it got me into where I am today, what cosplay even is, and just the broad spectrum of what to do with cosplay, and maybe more constructive ways to talk about it than what is in the mainstream. So I'm going to switch over and share with you. I have some PowerPoint presentations that I've done on this exact subject. I know, surprising. I love a PowerPoint presentation. I really do. Okay, so let's go this way. A little bit about me, to tell you a little bit of me, Kai, as a fan, as a lifelong fan of like all kinds of things that people might cosplay from or know of that have been cosplayed from in the world. I'm from Southern California. This is a photo of me in high school. I did not have any visual arts in my high school at all. My high school was near a magnet performing arts and arts program, and so I had no ability to have any like major art. And on top of it, I was an advanced placement student who was also a statewide varsity athlete. So I was busy. But through all of that, I was also cosplaying. So that's the beginning. And that's what I was doing when I also started doing all of this. So my very first cosplay, my very first convention I ever went to was Anime Expo 2002. I had no cosplay. I didn't even know people did that. And I showed up and I saw a bunch of people in costume and went, what is this? I like this. People have been cosplaying since forever. The term cosplay was actually coined, despite what people will tell you, in the United States at Worldcon in the early 90s. It is a mashup of the two words costume and play, as one might assume. And people have been doing it since literally forever. There are records of people cosplaying Jane Austen characters. So cosplay has been around since forever. I picked it up in 2002. And Erica in chat is talking about Taliesin Jaffe, but there are also other cast members of Critical Role who were at the conventions that are listed on this screen as cosplayers and fans before they were professional voice actors and famous tabletop performers. I first cosplayed at Anime Expo in 2003 as Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop when I thought I was a cis-het young woman. Yep, that was sure a thing I did. And then I competed the following year in the costume that got me really started thinking about costuming seriously, in my Aragorn costume right here, San Diego Comic-Con 2004, where I won Best First Time Solo Costume because I hand sewed the entire thing. So big shout out to Erica in chat, who does do a lot of repurposing, hand sewing, and handwork on their costumes. Right there with you, friend. So these were my early adventures into costuming in general. I didn't have theater, and all of that drove me into learning things like how to participate in my wider fan community. The internet existed back then. I was in fan spaces on the internet circa that era. And I self-taught sewing. I sought out a place to learn leathercraft. I learned a lot about costume history because of cosplay before I had any official training in it. I learned a lot about visual language and visual storytelling. And eventually it would lead me to learn all kinds of specialized skills. Oh no, not the captions being borked. Thank you, Keith. I will open and close them again, since that seems to help. There we go. And then the thing that I cannot stress enough that cosplay really started to show me was I was not a cis woman that I thought I was. Oh, my mom's in the chat ratting on me. Hi, Mother. Yes, I did love cosplaying Trinity from The Matrix. And yeah, I explored who I was as I was also having a lot of fun cosplaying, meeting a lot of friends. There's a lot of stories behind every picture that you see in this presentation that is me. And the thing about cosplay that I want to start with kind of the high level view of cosplay is, if you think about transformative works as like a whole umbrella, this includes things like fan art, fan music, fan fiction. All of these things take an original piece of work and reimagine it from the point of view of a different artist. That's it. It's a variation of adaptation. It is a variation of just being inspired by another piece of work. And people have been doing transformative works of the Bible, of Greek myths, of Shakespeare since forever. Like, Shakespeare is technically a transformative work. A lot of his pieces are based on history. They're based on Greek stories, Greek tragedies. And so instead of bringing cosplay to a level of this is just a thing that fans do, I challenge everyone who is watching to think of it the other way, that it is a piece of art that is in response to another piece of art. And that goes for fan fiction, fan art. Cosplay is such a personal endeavor of taking yourself and the things that you care about and the skills or the finances or whatever that you have available to you and making a reaction to a piece of media that inspires you. And so to that end, I will always hold cosplay at a very high place of esteem for me as a form of expression in art. I know some of you have already heard me ramble about this, but what you see on the screen, whether it is this fun DC cosplay photo shoot from WonderCon 2018, or this incredible Reinhardt costume that was done by my friend and her partner, like, these are works of art that people have made, because it isn't just about being a film-ready, historically accurate, or whatever your metric that you're measuring your costume against. Costume. Cosplay is the performance and the love of the media you're responding to as much as it is a garment that you have made or bought. That's it. So when people pick their costumes, they pick them for so many reasons. It is truly, there is no universal truth to why people cosplay and why they cosplay what they are cosplaying. People choose their cosplays because they like the character, they like the design, they want to be in a big group shoot, they want to participate in a specific fandom, they just want to make the thing. I know people who definitely look in their closet and go like, well, I have this and it's kind of like this thing from this other thing. There are plenty of competitive cosplayers out there that see something and go, I want to make that because I think it will win me an award. And those are just some reasons why people pick the costumes they pick. And all of them are transformative art. All of them. And cosplay is also, and this is something, if you walk away from nothing else from this, cosplay is not about perfect replication. I will tell you, as a person who has worked in media that people cosplay, I don't expect cosplay to be a direct replica. There is a, I think, very toxic expectation on cosplay for it to be a walk-around character at Disneyland. As a person who used to work at Disneyland, let me tell you, I have zero expectation that cosplay will be that, and I do not set that as a metric, because cosplay is not just about if someone looks like the character, how well someone can create a craft on their own, how much money someone can put into a costume. It is about the personal artist adaptation of that character, of that media, of that design. And so to that end, the metric of what is good cosplay for me, and what I hope everyone begins to talk about in the world, good cosplay is a costume that is a personal expression of love for that piece of media. Period. So that's what makes good cosplay. And so I am cosplay media coverage's #1 hater, because for the most part, if you look at cosplay coverage in media that is actually published, they take a lot of photos of people who are perfect cosplayers, and that's just not real. That's not what cosplay is. So here is some metrics that I think people should pay more attention to in cosplay, because cosplay is also a place where people can be whatever they see themselves in. Cosplay culture includes people who don't physically look like their character, people with visible disabilities other than the characters, people of different heritage and ancestry than the character, people who identify as a different gender as the character, people who don't participate in the acting part of cosplay. Costumers are still cosplayers. They're just not playing, and that's fine. Purchased, stapled together, and borrowed costumes are still cosplay. Cosplay made from purchased clothing. My example here is closet cosplay. If I can go into my closet and I'd be like, yeah, I have clothing that's close enough to this character, fine. Adaptations of the characters other than the direct translation from the source material, which includes things like gender bending, genre bending, crossover, Disney bounding, etc. versions of the characters are still cosplay. And cosplay is all about exploring. So here are just some examples of fun cosplay that isn't necessarily when people think of like big showy cosplay. One of my absolute favorite examples, this is my friend Desiree as Elsa, and she loves this costume. I don't think she wears it as much anymore, but like when she first made it, Desiree when I went to middle school together, and she messaged me and she was like, I spent so much time working on this costume. I love it so much, and it's comfortable and accessible in my chair. And one of my favorite things ever was going to this convention and seeing her swarmed with people wanting to take photos of her. She looked great. There's this amazing picture. I can give you 1,000 versions of this picture of Taylor Hobbs as Sailor Moon. I love specifically the embrace of Black nerds and cosplay, because there was a very long time where the cosplay community was deeply racist. And I know a lot of Black cosplayers that didn't feel welcome. I know a lot of other people of color who did not feel welcome in the cosplay community. And so you don't have to look in any way, in any metric, like the character to cosplay them. And you can do things like adapt Sailor Moon's buns into braids. You can do anything, so long as it is an expression of the character. I love this picture of my friends Margaret and Sydney as Anastasia and Dimitri. They did this just because they wanted to. They were like, you know what? We should do an entire group that is the Paris, like coming to Paris characters from the animated movie Anastasia. And this is just like them having a romp. They're incredible cosplayers. But to me, this is the spirit of cosplay. Is I do what I want because it's fun and because I love it. And then this last one down here is my friend Hannah as Roger Rabbit at the Who Framed Roger Rabbit ride at Disneyland on Dapper Day, and did like a cute Dapper Day inspired Roger Rabbit. Absolutely adorable. Still Roger Rabbit. Still cosplay. This is how I choose my cosplay. And it's pretty much just characters that I find deep resonance with, ones that I see things for myself that I attach to. And the reasons for that are varied, but it's quite a list. I have cosplayed all of these characters here. You don't need me to read them all. And here are some original pictures from the content. Of the pictures, I have Heatwave and Captain Cold from the DC TV shows. I have a picture of Captain America and the Winter Soldier from Captain America Winter Soldier the movie. Flynn Rider from Disney's Tangled. Bellamy Blake from the CW's The 100. Jack Kelly from the Broadway production of Newsies. And Uter from The Wicked and the Divine, a comic. And then I'm going to click this magic button. And here we all are, as all of these costumes that I love so dearly, and with quite a variation of how much I made versus how much I bought for each of these. For Mick, he wears normal human clothes. And my best friend Lena, who I'm sure many of you have seen in the chat before, as Captain Cold, and then again as Captain America, and as Crutchy from Newsies, because we cosplay together all the time. And the variation here being also that, like, I bought pretty much all of Mick Rory and all of Jack Kelly. They're still costumes. I made everything you see in my Flynn Rider costume by hand except for the belts. Like, all of it. The jerkin, the shirt, the pants, all of it. I made the bag. I made all of those things by hand. The Bellamy costume, I actually directly replicated the process that they used to make his real jacket from the show. And all of these are cosplay. Some of them are bought. Some of them are made. It is all cosplay. And one of the things I love about cosplay is that it's not just an exploration of the characters and fan media, but it's also an exploration that I get to participate in, of playing a hero, playing a villain, playing a soldier, an orphan, a thief, a goddess, a rebel, a craftsman, a king, a crook, and everything in between, and things that I haven't even imagined yet from playing characters that I love. And it's led me into, oh, hell yeah, Erica. It's led me into my work as a professional costume designer. We don't need to get too much into that because I talked about that in other places. And working as a professional costumer and using skills that I learned from cosplay to then turn around and do things for these projects. Oh, that is very special. So something that people are talking about in chat, and this is not to dunk on it, this is just something that I am on a mission, and everyone who watches this channel will hear it 1,000 times. If you are the generator of that character, any OC, any tabletop character, if you write a book and there's a character in it and you make a costume of it, it's not cosplay. You are the designer and the creator of that character. You are costuming your own character. Because cosplay is meant to be a transformative work. You can't transform work that is already yours in that way. Oh my god. I'm so glad everyone's enjoying it. So yeah, something to note. What I do as a tabletop performer when I wear clothing for my characters, that is costuming. Because Zain and Esh is my character, and what I wear on stream is part of me telling the original work that he is created in. So I do not cosplay Zaynanesh. I am Zaynanesh. Whereas I am not Poe Dameron, even though I could only dream to be so lucky, but I can be Poe Dameron as a active cosplay and transformative work. Just like all of these other costumes that you see here. And so put in your mind, all of you lovely tabletop people, that tabletop in particular is a place where you are not cosplaying if you are wearing clothing of your character. Because you are the maker, you are the creator. And I just think that that's cool and powerful. Cosplay is, I love this thing so much. It means so much to me. It resonates with me, or it resonates with the community that I am in. And I would like to participate in the wider reaction as an artist to this piece of media. And through that, learning all kinds of skills and abilities and meeting lots and lots of people. So like through that, I learned, through cosplay, I learned all kinds of things, and then also bleeding it back and forth between my traditional education as a costume designer and costumer. In my undergrad program, I learned fabric dyeing. I learned like the real professional way that people sew, and not just unbasted, widely spaced seams. I learned how to pin fabric. I didn't pin anything that I sewed until I went to college. Dreadful. Don't do that. Pin your seams. I learned how to paint in undergrad, and then I also learned more traditional practices of acting and makeup, all of which then play into my cosplay work, where I also learned the practices of leathercraft. I learned how to 3D print. I learned how to take what is the traditional wisdom of like how they teach people to craft things and sew things. But one of my favorite things about cosplay is, as a person who learned it both ways, right? I learned both my gorilla laying on the floor sewing, where I didn't backstitch the ends of my seams and was using intrinsic thread. For those of you who don't know, that's the invisible thread that looks like fishing line for everything. Don't do that either. Bad. The whole thing about what I learned from trial and error is not less than what I learned from traditional education. They inform each other. So while traditional education might say, well, you can't do X, Y, or Z, the cosplayer in me says, but have you tried? And so without that almost unapologetic spirit of adventure that I think comes with cosplay, I wouldn't have dared to do some of the things that I have done and learned how to do and pushed for. I wouldn't have realized that I wanted to learn how to do traditional tailoring if I had not first tried to do it without the backbone of actually learned tailoring. But then when I learned trying to fake tailoring, actually ended up helping me a lot learning how to tailor, because I learned about seam placement and why those things matter because I did it wrong, and then I moved things around and continued to learn the why of things, so that then when I learned to traditionally tailor, I would go, oh, you want the side seams pushed back? Thank you for the sub, Key Squared. I learned that like the placement of seams matters, because when you move in them a certain way, it feels different, it moves different. So like in here is my Harry Hart suit. That was one of those deep endeavors of I love tailoring. Because I bought a suit, because I don't know, the Kingsman movies are sure a thing, and I enjoy large aspects of them, and I could go on a whole dissertation about where they are not great. But I love suits. Like I love a suit. And And the Kingsman suits are a work of art, just the way that they were conceptualized and built. They actually did have Savile Row tailors make them. And they were using a style of suit that people don't make anymore. And I was like, I have to know how to do this. And so I actually bought, deconstructed, and rebuilt the kind of suit that they redesigned to make the suits for the movie. And that's the picture here. And it was just the raw ambition of deciding I was going to do that. I didn't have enough practical knowledge to do it. And I learned as I went. And that goes for a lot of these projects. Either I'll figure them out as I go, or I'll go and learn the right thing as I am doing it. And so, like, in here is my my like perfect triad of things that I accidentally did right, which is my arrow costume, my Ronin costume down here on the bottom, the thing that's a full head to toe armor suit, and then my Poe Dameron flight suit are three things that I accidentally did right, because I had enough like base understanding that when I looked at the real costume, I went, I think I can kind of figure that out. I would later meet people who helped engineer these things, who are considered vanguards in their field because they dared to try to do something wrong. And so I just didn't have that preconceived notion, and I just did it the way that I thought they did it, which is basically how they actually did it. And I wouldn't have done that if I had just gone to a sewing class or, taking classes at school or whatever. Because I would have been like, well, you can't do it that way. You can't sew. So the Poe Dameron flight vest that's on here, there is actually inlaid into it strips of fun foam all over, which is how they make dimension in a lot of superhero costumes and science fiction costumes. It's actually foam sewn in to give that dimensional structure, and there's examples of it all over in like modern costuming. And the Ronin costume is a really fun middle where I took my knowledge of leather and my knowledge of specifically character walk around costumes from Disney and kind of mashed them together. Yes, Erica, just like how they used to pad corsets with the foam. Correct. And it's about taking that kind of almost atmospheric knowledge of, yeah, there's this other thing that I kind of know or that I've watched, and mashing it together. And that's one of the coolest things to me about cosplay, is there's no limit. And if you think there's a limit, someone is actively imagining a way around it. So I've seen people cosplay Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas by building full body puppets. Those are the people that end up then building full body puppets for a living because they have imagined a new way to create a costume. I can't tell you how many cosplayers that I've known over the years that have become professional costumers and construction people because they are not limited by the rules. So cosplay is almost like at this point becoming like a folkloric tradition of sewing versus a traditional educated version of sewing. There's no one way. Is kind of what the majority of this is meant to be about. Is like there is no one way. I have over time integrated other skills that I've learned through professional and education, professional jobs and education, including like how I store my costumes, how to do wearable electronics, and how to integrate technology into my costumes. I've learned how to do industrially standard like sewing and patterning and things like that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that when I cosplay, some of that gets thrown out the window. We don't need that. Okay, so that's one presentation. I have two, because why not? That's an old presentation I did. I occasionally will do presentations at universities, especially in universities that actually teach fan and fan-related media about what cosplay is. Um, Tips about cosplay? From me, you shouldn't have asked. By shouldn't, I mean please ask me these kinds of questions. First of all, I need you all to know that every time I see anyone talking about cosplaying Zainin, I scream. I scream inside, sometimes I scream outside. Thank you all so much for loving Zainin enough to want to cosplay him. Because if it's not obvious from that entire presentation, that is how I got here. And I love doing what I do as a performer in hopes that people will see things for themselves in these characters that I am making and love them enough to want to do something so beautiful as react to them in cosplay. So it means the world to me, all of you. And I will cry if I talk about this for too long, because that is why I am who I am today. So thank you all for the love, and if ever, if ever I can give you tips, if it's not abundantly apparent, I'll just like slide you stuff on occasion if I have the time, because I am over the moon, and I want nothing more than for you to feel the same euphoria that I feel as a cosplayer in your experience. And if I can help, it is my pleasure. As far as tips for just starting out in cosplay, some things, basic things to know. Practical side of making costumes. Cosplay is expensive. Even if you do it bare bones, the moment that you're not doing something that is essentially closet cosplay, cosplay gets expensive, like real fast. And so one of the unfortunate things about cosplay is that I do find it to be economically limited very often. But I never want you to feel like if you have I'm going to use Zainin as the example on this, but like if you just have like a black shirt and a jacket and maybe a little bit of makeup, that's a cosplay to me. I love detailed and fully immersive attempts at either designs or redesigns of costumes, but set realistic boundaries for yourself with your money, with your time, and with your bandwidth. And so I never want people to think that their barrier to cosplay is money. I never want people to think that their barrier to cosplay is ability. Whether that is fighting against disability or fighting against people's skill in sewing. I love that there are people who make costumes like the way Erica does in chat, who they go out and they thrift their fabrics, they thrift their different pieces and materials. I used to cosplay that like that almost exclusively as well. And I love a repurposed garment, especially because I do find that the costuming industry as a whole is a very wasteful industry. So just because you can buy it cheap doesn't mean A, it will be good, B, it will be ethically made, or C, it will be able to last. A lot of the costumes that you see in my presentations, I still own, I can still wear. They are, for the most part, durable forever, and I keep them very well with the intention of wearing them as long as I can. I don't like buying cheap costumes, even if it's just a single piece. So like, my big advice is set boundaries, live in the reality of who you are and what you can do, and find inspiration in other people, in their work, in their reaction, or in the case of things like actual play, you can look to what I wear on stream. I love using the Critical Role promo pictures as an example as well, where they're wearing clothing inspired by their characters, but they're not cosplaying their characters like they did a long time ago, but their end result looks styled after their characters. And even just that level of like bounding to me is a nice starting point to just kind of like work the muscle, figure out who you want to be in the practice and craft of cosplay. And sometimes that's the end of it, and that's great too. I love bounding. I love it very much. So yeah, that's my big advice is figure out how much time, money, and energy you want to invest in it, and that you can invest in it, because it's a big endeavor. It's a lot. And it should be something that you love. I love making costumes. I love the time and practice of laying all the fabric out and cutting it. I love the very long journey of finding just the right piece. I do a lot of contemporary costuming, and I know how those projects buy their garments because I've worked on the other side of being the person buying those garments. So I like going and finding like the exact piece. I have some like show accurate garments that I've bought over the years that I treasure, that are usually bought secondhand on Poshmark or eBay. And then there's little things like, here's my favorite piece of advice, new or old cosplayers, is have little things. Because if you've been listening to this channel, you know I believe that character is in the details. Hey, Iron Pist, why are you Disney bounding Smee? I love you so much. Yeah, I love all of these. Specifically, like Erica has some really good tips about silhouette, and looking at, especially being able to talk about like the second stranger as a piece of media to cosplay from. There's so many good versions of the characters to look at and look for. Lynn's art is amazing. God, I love Lynn so much. And there's also C's art from especially earlier in the campaign. There's so much of it. And one of my favorite things about specifically cosplaying actual play characters goes back to the thing I was trying to talk about, which is like details. So the cool thing about, I'm going to use Erica as an example because I adore your cosplay so much, is folding details of the character and their journey into the costume. So Erica has all this beautiful embroidery. Specifically, I'm going to think of their gentle pants, where all of the panels have all this beautiful hand embroidery that represents aspects of Gentle's story and all the people that they love. Those kinds of details to me are what make cosplay so transformative and beautiful, because I'm sure that if Dare could spend the time and think about all the embroidery, Erica and Dare probably largely agree on a lot of what those panels would be. And then Erica gets to take it and embroider it with love and intentionality. And it's just such a beautiful like conversation between creator and cosplayer in a way that I think is so beautiful. And also, you look at the costume and you go, that's a fully fleshed out character. That is a character who has had a life. And to me, that's the best part. I don't love like shiny, perfect cosplay in general. I want my characters to look like they've been rough and tumble, and like they've lived a life. And so to have little pieces of love tucked into your character's costumes, including things like, I notoriously put things in my pockets for cosplay. I used to cosplay Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who and Torchwood prolifically for like a decade. And for that costume, I literally had like a set of keys for the Torchwood office. I had all these little props. I had a sticker from going to the Millennium Center, which is where the Torchwood base of operations was. I had a Oyster card from the London Tube in my pockets. I would just carry all kinds of little things so that for me the experience of cosplay could exist, which is that conversation of like, it's not just look at the costume, which I loved and spent so much time with, but then it was getting to have that play part of being Captain Jack Harkness and being able to tease Lena, who is my Yanto, of like, here, lock up and throw the keys. And so then people get to have the experience and the transformative moment of enjoying that as well. So I love little things. Like I'm sitting here fiddling with this, which Poe canonically wears a ring on a chain, which the whole story of is so wonderful and it makes me cry. But his mother passed away when he was very young, and it's literally his parents' engagement rings. He wears his mother's engagement ring on a chain. And so, like, just those little touches are so intrinsic to character for me. And the more intentionality you can put in your costumes in that way, I think the more they'll sing for me in the way that I think cosplay is best looked at, which is person to person, fan to fan, and saying, like, you know, it's not just that I'm cosplaying Poe, it's that I'm cosplaying Poe wearing his mother's ring and going on his journey with him as a character that I love so much. To answer Lena's lovely leading question in chat of what would I have in my pockets for Zynon, God, if I had my druthers, it would be so much. He always has so much stuff on him. The one I think of off the top of my head is I would love to build his kit from Arc 3 in Inferno, because he has an entire vampire hunting kit tucked into his belts. And I am that person that if you give me little things, like I have a early campaign 2 of Critical Role Caleb Widowgrass costume, when the guy, Mr. Magic Components, Liam O'Brien, would in excruciating detail describe Caleb's magic casting components. So I have all of his material components for his spells from level 1 to level 5, I think. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh my god. Everyone's being so kind to each other too for all these subs. Thank you so much, everybody. This is huge and important to me because I want to specifically be sitting here and talking to all of you doing this, and your support really does help me be able to do this more and be able to financially support this work. So thank you. But yeah, the detail in those little things is so important to me with costuming. Sure, yeah, you can look like a character, but the experience of cosplay is such a fan-to-fan experience in my opinion, that it's also like, oh, in my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. costume, my god, OMG Flan, you're being so nice. Thank you so much for these gift subs. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for being here. The love of the character that drives people to cosplay is an experience then shared person to person. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of talking to someone who I'm a fan of their cosplay, but we were specifically talking about folding detail, folding specific aspects of our love of a character into those costumes. And I find that it is a universal experience of people who long-term cosplay. It isn't just about like being a good model of that, like, again, to be brought on. No, do not be sorry for interrupting. I am just deeply grateful. The little exchange of, I love this character, not everyone look at me, I'm wearing a good costume. Cosplay to me has always been a conversation of the cosplayer, the other fans around them, and maybe sometimes the creator, but not a requirement. I've been able to pull, I don't remember what I was cosplaying, but I've made like little paper props and things like that I'll have in my pockets and I'll pull them out. Oh my god, one of my favorite ones, I was at San Diego Comic-Con and there was this guy walking around as John Constantine who actually had John Constantine's business cards. And that's the kind of stuff, and he was giving them out as just like, you know, I'm John Constantine. And that's the kind of stuff that sticks with me, because it's so good and it's so in character. And it was good fun of the play side of cosplay, which is that magical kismet of like what people I think actually want when they say like, oh, I want someone who looks like, I dated a guy for years who was a very good Captain Jack Sparrow cosplayer. And the way that people would treat him was so fascinating to me, because he loved Jack Sparrow. Like he has the tattoo. Like he was in that, but he was in it for all of the crap in the pockets and all the individual beads and all that stuff. So that when people objectified him because that he looked good, it was almost a downer for him. It was so funny because like he and I would bond over just like a button, the placement of a single seam, and when media and other fan response is so reductive to just like, oh, you look good, to me that loses that fan-to-fan experience of like, but you love this thing. I'm here because I love this thing. We're gonna take a break in a couple minutes. When we come back, I'm gonna have another presentation. I'm gonna look through the chat really quick just to see what everyone's talking about. The experience of, and Erica's kind of been talking about it in chat too, of like, as a cosplayer, finding characters that you find either euphoria in or joy in, and having someone respond to you, not just with like, oh, hi, Kai in a cosplay. I get some of the most amazing responses of just like, so, Poe Dameron, let's talk about all of your damage and mommy problems. And it's fun. It's good fun. And they're like in tabletop, there are easy ways to like opt out of that being part of the experience. But to me, that's what I'm there for. I want to be teased as Zuko, even though it sent me into a spiral about what side my scar was on. That's the experience for me. I made my beautiful Zuko costume. I had the big, beautiful makeup on for the first time. And I was walking around and someone in San Diego at Comic-Con was like, your scar's on the wrong side, which is a joke from the show. But then I went, is it on the wrong side? Oh God. And I treasure that though, because it's so funny. It's good fan-to-fan fun that you can only experience as a cosplayer, in my opinion. Erica, sorry, if you're cosplaying Oka, this is a you problem, and people will treat you like, oh yes, you are that messy prince. Oh, yeah, I love Oka. I will tease C. Thomas till the end of time about Oka Hien. Anyways, I don't deserve it. It's fine. But that, to me, that magical moment of being handed John Constantine's business card of, God, I have so many. I love, I've met people cosplaying, like, vampire characters that are like, oops, your blood is dripping. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's so funny to me. And that's the magic of cosplay, because it's also like in the big group photos and stuff that you saw earlier, and I have some others that I can show you too. I love staging these moments for photos, just to like even just have good fun with other people. One of my favorite things that really helped me come out of my shell as like a more adult performer was my Jack Kelly costume from Newsies, because I learned and can sing a cappella all of Santa Fe now, because I put that costume together and said, I'm going to do it at WonderCon. I'm going to just get out there. I'm going to find a spot, and I'm going to sing the song from Newsies by myself, because that to me is also embodying the character and embodying the costume and bringing the spirit of that thing to the convention. And it was awesome. So it's, to me, that's the meat of cosplay. Thank you so much for such a lively chat, for all of the subs, for all of the follows that are going on. Thank you all so much for participating in all of this and for sharing your stories. I love the story about Chirrut, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, one of the coolest characters in Rogue One by miles. Chirrut Imwe, I love you. And it just means a lot to share this kind of conversation with all of you. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes. But in the meantime, please drink water, eat a snack if you need to or able to, pet your pets, give them little extra kisses for Kai, and I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to another episode of Seems Right, my show about costuming and storytelling. And today we're talking about cosplay. I figured I'd hop us right back in with another little glimpse into one of my many cosplay presentations. This one a little bit more current than the last. But today, I also wanted to talk a little bit about I kind of started to, but there's a lot of politics in cosplay because you're a person. If you're a cosplayer, you're a person with a body. You're a person with your own identities. You're a person with your own ancestry, ethnicity, culture. Many people with their own religion, their own practices, etc. in their lives. And then when you talk about then embodying a character, much in the same way that we talk about it in tabletop, it's one thing to play a character that is different than yourself. It is another thing entirely to then put that on your body. So one of the things that I end up talking about a lot as a cosplayer and in the regards to cosplay is that, so I am mixed. I am Japanese and of European descent as an American. I am a non-binary queer person with a whole plethora of identities within that, which I'll talk about a little bit here, actually, in this presentation. And so what does it mean for me to cosplay someone that does not match my ethnicity? Well, that's like every character practically ever. When you think about it, you have to think about the politics of yourself, your body, and that character and their politics. So you'll notice that I've censored a particular character from this presentation because the content that they are from, even though I love the character dearly, is something that I do not think is appropriate to talk about wholesale as a creator right now. Love David Tennant so much, and that's the only reference I will make to that. But overall, I'm not wearing that costume out right now, and I probably won't. For a lot of reasons, but largely because I respect people and I believe victims. That's it. That's what I'll say on the matter. And so there are politics in that. There are politics in when I still identified as a cisgendered person, almost exclusively cosplaying mask characters. There's a lot of questions all the time, and a lot of what I would say are very derivative and or even derogatory terms about that practice. And so you got to think about the politics of that. I say on here, I've cosplayed about 90% mask characters across the entire spectrum of orientation, majority from white presented characters in majority Western media. And I mostly cosplay canon versions of characters. That's just who I am. I'm just like that. It is usually an attempt or a variation of a canon costume when I am making a cosplay. On here, this presentation was originally made for my friend's a professor who teaches a class on fan fiction. And they asked me to come in and talk about transformative works in regards to cosplay and the identity, my identity, and just identity exploration in cosplay. So that's what this presentation is about. And so, 4 examples in here of characters that I found a lot of either actualization in an identity that I already held or an exploration in an identity that I was interested in that I now largely either associate with myself or have a constant conversation about going on in my life because identity is fluid. The 4 on here are, as I said earlier, Captain Jack Harkness. I used to cosplay him a lot. He's from Doctor Who and Torchwood, from the new Doctor Who series. He hasn't been in the show in a long time, but he was in the first through the 4th series of Doctor Who, and then he was in all 3 seasons of Torchwood because he's the main character. I've got Quentin Coldwater up here from Sci-Fi's The Magicians. Don't watch it, but I do really like the character. There's a lot of problems with the show, but Quentin... I should also explain, Captain Jack Harkness is canonically pansexual, and is unapologetically, he's from the future, and so he's just like, why are you all being so specific about gender and sexual orientation? This is strange. And I just found a lot of freedom in that, and I really, really had a lot of fun. He's also a con man and a mess. Quentin is canonically bisexual, and he's just he's a bookish nightmare nerd man. And then on the bottom, I have Axel Dunn from Critical Role from Campaign 1, who is a half-elf. His player, Liam O'Brien, said a lot of very, like, nuanced and wonderful things about having a mixed identity. Also, the character is debatably, semi-canonically polyamorous and pansexual. And he also has his twin sister, and he's just like, we're the same, even though she's a woman and he's a man. And there's a lot of queerness going on with Axel Dunn in general. To answer your question, Patrick, they're all messes. I only cosplay messy people, messies. You understand me. Yeah, Keith, same. Hold on to that. Keith's saying in chat that they bought a binder for cosplay and then was like, this is nice to wear outside of cosplay. Same friend. And then the bottom one, this character played by David Tennant, who I also love very much, is canonically non-binary transgender character who has multiple gender presentations throughout the media. And all of these, through my love of the characters, through exploring their stories, and then also through the love and practice of cosplaying them, I got to explore and embody what those different ideas mean to me. So here I am, maybe. Captain Jack Harkness, literally in the same location as that photo, which I'm just always tickled by. I got to go over to Cardiff and do a bunch of this running around as a giant nerd that I was. And then through cosplaying Captain Jack Harkness, I really figured out that I was non-binary. Like, really, really was like, oh no, this is the thing. Oh, okay. Oh, Erica, you're so right. Erica says they make playlists for all their cosplays. Yeah, same. I have so many. I also just make playlists for everything. For Quentin, I just had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed cosplaying Quentin. It was such a good time. It was also Quentin's a grad student in the show, and I was in grad school at the time, and so he was my, like, grad school therapy character. Vax, my dear, my beloved. Oh yes, and with Quentin around that same time as when I was, maybe I'm pan. Fascinating. And then Vax, my dear, my beloved. We're gonna do this guy first. My demon, my dearest, my darlingest. Very trans, very loudly trans. Aw, thanks, Iron Pissed. I love making presentations. Vax, my beloved. I've only pretty much run around with him at, like, very limited events, but I sure fucking love cosplaying him. Yeah, so those are just, like, a little bit of my exploration of identity, and this is such a common story that I hear among cosplayers, including people in this chat have already been talking about exploring their identity through cosplay, and through thus the media that you love, that you are reacting to as a cosplayer. I love this. So from a New York Times article interviewing Pablo Picasso in 1923, he said, "Art is a lie that makes us realize the truths." And to me, that is so intrinsic to cosplay that I like this character enough to make a costume about them. Let me make a costume. Let me make an art about it. Oh, I've made an art about a thing that I like a lot that speaks to me on a fundamental level. Huh. And some people look into that further. Some people don't. But to me, it's been a very core part of my cosplay experience and a lot of other people. We've kind of gone over this a little bit, but to specifically define transformative work. A transformative work takes something extant, something that already exists, and turns it into something with a new purpose, sensibility, or mode of expression. Transformative works include, but are not limited to, fan fiction, real person fiction, fan vids, and fan art. So this is the definition as put forward by the Organization for Transformative Works, who are the people who own Archive of Our Own. And the reason you see me constantly circling back to this is that there is a large, very negative habit, both in fan communities and in professional communities, to talk down about cosplay. I disagree, and a lot of other people do too. And it's something that I hope, if we continue to sit and have these kinds of conversations, and we go out there as cosplayers, as fans, as creators, and say, like, cosplay is art. These people are making art. Fan art is art. Fan fiction is art. Because professional writers, so many, including famous works that exist today, including ones that have TV shows and movies. Outlander was a Doctor Who fanfic. Twilight was... No, wait. Something was a Twilight fanfic, and it's leaving my head now. 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fanfic. So people have given respect to transformative works that have become independent works. Most legacy IPs, most legacy intellectual properties, which include things like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons, all of those are now being created not by the original creators, but by people who loved them. They are writing the new source material. They are not making transformative work. They are making an original work. But at some point, the people who write Dungeons and Dragons now wrote homebrew campaigns. You know what that is? Transformative art. I know so many professional costuming people in costuming now, working for Marvel and Star Wars and DC and all of these big projects that all started as fans. Like, the entirety of Lower Decks for Star Trek is all written by a bunch of Trek nerds, right? And this is not me, like, projecting the universe, oh, they must be. No, like, I've met these people, I talk to them, I'm friends with them. Like, they are nerds who are making this media. So why would you degrade the concept of what they're doing as art just because it is done as a transformative work? So I am a professional costumer, costume designer. I've worked for some of the largest companies making media that you have probably seen. I started as a cosplayer. I would not be here if I had not walked into my college costume shop not knowing that I could become a professional costumer in a cosplay. And the head of that shop going, hey, where'd you get that? And I went, well, I made it. And she went, you live here now. Big shout out to my beloved Wendy Sparks Rule, the ex-head of the UC Berkeley costume shop. And that kind of understanding that I made that costume, it was Will Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean 2. I made that costume because I loved that character. I love a character who can make a thing, and he's a blacksmith, and I'm just a weak for characters who make things. And I had spent all that time making that costume, and she saw in me not a cosplayer, but an artist making transformative work, and it became my entire life. And I've never been happier or more proud than when I can sit here and tell all of you, as a person who makes content that people make fan art of, that make transformative work of. One day, I hope that you get to create something that you love to inspire more people. This is why I'll cry. If I get too deep into talking about people cosplaying Zion, I will actually sit here and cry on stream. Because making the media that inspires other people, to me, is passing the torch further down to the next person who's going to make media that will inspire people. And I hope that it pushes even further. I'm very proud to be able to say, like, I was a non-binary person working for Marvel, using my non-binary pronouns, and getting to work on things like Loki, where they do explore, what if Loki woman? What if Loki horse? What if Loki? What if Loki? And that was fine. That was just part of the conversation. And that kind of intimacy with the media that I cherish as a comics nerd. And being able to say, like, oh, I see a lot of people who have found a lot of gender in cosplaying Loki. I see you. And to me, that means everything. So yeah, transformative works are just art. They're just another form of art. Speaking of, this is one of my favorite ways to talk about this. So, adaptation. This is my trick question that if you don't know the answer by this point in the stream, I can't help you. But the question is, which of these is art? And what role does the artist play? So the first picture is Belle's wedding dress. Ariel's wedding dress in The Little Mermaid from the original 1989 movie. Don't even get me started about the period inaccuracy. I'm not here to talk about that. The Little Mermaid is honestly a costume design travesty. But this is the iconic look. This is the one that so many people have deep emotional response to. There are people who styled their actual real life wedding dresses off of this. So that's the original work. The second one is Claire Hummel's There's Something About Her, which is part of her series that was all reimaginings of iconic Disney princess dresses as actually more historically rendered historical dresses. So this dress was styled to be a Victorian wedding dress. And it has got the silhouette of a Victorian wedding dress. It has slightly deeper plunge than a Victorian wedding dress would. Artistic, liberties, fantastic. And it's styled that way. And you can see the attention to detail and the love of it. That is art. It is an adapted work of the original Little Mermaid. Absolutely beautiful. There's a whole series of them if you ever want to get really lost. She did a bunch of Disney princesses. It was a really famous series at the time. To the point where, in 2016, here's one of 1,000 versions of this, but so many people made cosplay of this fan art series. So, the original work, the 1989 Disney movie, became a fan art series in 2011, became this cosplay by Imaginary in 2016 of her in a Victorian-styled wedding dress version of the Little Mermaid wedding dress. All of these, every step of the way, is art. And to adapt and to adapt and to adapt art is honestly how art is made. There's this really dizzying version of this that involves Rose of Versailles, the manga that is adapted from a French novel. There was a novel that was adapted into a manga that was adapted into an opera that was then made by French people after it was adapted in Japan. This is just how the world works, to be very clear. People make art of other things all of the time. Yeah. Let's see. Blistar Bean asks, is there anyone you would not feel comfortable cosplaying of your OCs? I do a Halloween costume countdown every year where I dress up each day of October. I used to do the exact same thing. And in the last 3 years, I've filled it with other people's OCs with their permission, of course. I would love to add Zynon to my list of characters to do, but I am a cis white woman, so I don't know if that would be appropriate because, like you said, while most cosplay is open to everyone, there are some costumes that aren't for certain people. An excellent question, very well worded. Thank you so much for that amazing question and thoughtful insight. I seriously used to do that 30 Days of Halloween. It's a blast. I would make a lot of really quick costumes out of my closet. It was such a good time. As far as the Zynon thing, I am of the mind that if you do it respectfully with Zynon, you are not appropriating my culture or any real world constraints that you should really worry that much about, so long as you do it with respect. That's most of my thought on a lot of costuming, including things like cosplaying characters that don't align with your gender or your ethnicity, is if you do it respectfully without doing, venturing into things like brown face or disrespectful versions of drag, you're fine. Just do it respectfully. And, know that if it's not your thing and people gently correct you, just take the correction and move forward. That's it. Ooh, Lena's prompting me for something that I've just been ranting at. I'll get to that in a minute. But also, for me, the question you were asking, if there are any characters that I would not feel comfortable cosplaying of my OCs. For the most part, most of the OCs that I make that you all know about are made for public consumption, so I largely like them to be ones that I'm comfortable embodying for performance. But this kind of ties into Lena's question about what is appropriate to adapt for me as a person in general. So even though this is not a question about my OCs, because largely, I will say I have one that I can think off the top of my head that I'm like, it would probably not be great for me to cosplay a version of one of my OCs, which is that I made, before Zynon, I had played another cowboy who was a Dungeons & Dragons artificer. And I wanted to play a character that used magic as just part of their everyday life. And so he was limb different on both of his arms, but instead of having prosthetics, he used Mage Hand. And he had abilities like mechanically in the game system that, and they weren't homebrew. This was just like using 5e as written, using Mage Hand instead of a prosthetic. Because I wanted to explore what versions of magic and accessibility existed in Dungeons & Dragons. And the answer is there's a lot. But unless I were to... There's a version of him later on where he has spectral arms. I would cosplay that, but I would probably not cosplay him without those, because I am not limb different. And that's kind of one of the big ones, and it leads into the thing that Lena was asking about. So there's this big conversation going on right now, and I've seen shades of it all over the internet, which is, so Arcane, big fandom, lots of people watched it, including me. I love Arcane. And I am also of the giant JVIC tidal wave of people who are obsessed with Jason Victor. And I love a messy, I think righteously angry character that maybe I think they stumbled on at a certain part, but that's fine. That's fine. As you can tell, I have a lot of media that I'm like, I wish you'd done better, but I still like you. But the thing that keeps coming up is cosplaying characters that have specifically mobility aids or prosthetics. And so Victor, the character, has a large part of the story. He uses a mobility aid. He uses a few different ones actually throughout the show. And while I have big thoughts about the way that they show his disability overall in the show, as far as cosplaying that goes, I cosplayed Victor once casually, and I needed a cane at the time because I had broken my toe. I don't think I would do that at a convention because I do not use a mobility aid now in my everyday life because my toe has healed. In as far as like prosthetics goes, a lot of the conversation, basically all of these conversations, you should be looking to disabled people first for what they have to say about it. And this is me having talked to and looked at things that people in the community, in the disabled community, have said, like, hey, please don't use mobility aids as props. Fantastic. Heard. Easy. Don't cosplay Victor without the need of a mobility aid. There are versions of him that you could cosplay without if you felt like you needed to have that to do that version of the costume, or just cosplay him without the fucking cane. Fine. And the same thing goes for, like, if you were cosplaying a deaf character who had implants or anything like that. Like, don't wear a fake cochlear implant. That's ugly. Don't do that. There's some other politics around ability, disability, and tools to aid disabled people in integrating with the world, whether that is mobility aid, hearing aid, etc. Do those things with respect and look to the people whose things that they are and how they would like people to engage with them. in general, yeah, Erica's on the right page of like, if you don't understand, and especially like if you are not resonant with that part of the character, and it's something that's a big part of them, like don't cosplay them. That's simple. Yeah, the important thing in cosplay is, again, remembering, as you were saying, Blistar, being like, my body has politics on it and so does his characters, and where do those two things meet, and how do I respectfully negotiate both of those things. So I'll be the first person to say, like, if you want to cosplay a character that doesn't look like your skin, doesn't share your heritage, but you like that character, so long as you do it with respect and you don't take specifically cultural touchstones, like if you're cosplaying a character that is indigenous, maybe don't wear indigenous specific face makeup. Don't wear sacred garments if they are part of the costume. Do a different version of that costume. That's it. Like, say there is a few versions of oh my god, what is her name? The new Marvel Archer that isn't Hawkeye. There is also a Hawkeye that's Native American, but like they fold in actually Native American tribes into the story. They use actual like with permission, mostly, hopefully, real references of real tribal practices in the costumes. So like I wouldn't make that costume. That would be disrespectful for me to do. And it's all about looking into what those things mean. So like this goes for me as a creator as well with Zynon. I'm always very conscious, as I've said before, about where his facial markings go, because I do know a lot about especially like Native Americans and African tribes and even South American tribes that do have practices of face painting, and Polynesian cultures as well. And so trying to make sure that I'm not taking things that aren't mine. And so the same thing goes with cosplay. Yep, you're right there, Blistar Bean. Everything's free game so long as you do it respectfully and carefully, especially in regards to marginalized identities that are not yours. That's all. But like for me as a creator of Zynon, I say Godspeed to you if you would like to cosplay Zynon. I see no issue there. So back to my presentation. More. I used to cosplay Yasha with the lip line, but then discovered it was traditional makeup for a certain native tribe, and started representing it using a lip ring instead. That rocks, actually. Yeah, and it's about the conversation. And there are versions of that lip line makeup that I think are referential of that, and then there are ways that are similar but not the same. And I haven't read too deep into which one is which and all that stuff, so I don't want to get too deep into the Yasha lip line thing. I know that conversation exists, but it is not it's not something that I'm going to be doing anytime soon. But B, like, I would have to go and read like specifically what the conversation is about it, and I just don't know. But it's good that reading that you can make your own decision of, is this for me? Should I be doing this or no? So yeah, back to, is cosplay art? It is. What about cosplay makes it art? Is it the act of creating a costume, also known as costuming or crafting? The wearing and styling of a costume, which includes things like buying the pieces and putting them on and doing things like the makeup and the hair and all that stuff. Is it the performance of wearing the costume and playing, like I was talking about earlier, which is largely my love of cosplay? Is it the photography of a person in the costume? Or is it the experience of many people together wearing costumes? All of these, obviously the answer is yes. These are all art. I have Blue Jay, who is wearing Evelyn Parker from Cyberpunk 2077. The photo is beautifully styled. Blue Jay is a model. Like, the whole look was styled, I think, by Blue Jay. That sounds like something she would do. And like the wig and everything is all hers. And this is like a professional photo of a cosplayer. So the art is both the costume and what Blue Jay is doing and the photo itself. And the same thing goes for, all of these. Here's Ursula as Piper White from Fallout 4. I absolutely love this costume and this picture because she just looks like she stepped straight out of the screen. And it's all in those little details. You can see that her clothing is distressed, that she has all the little like ties and wraps. The camera is such a lovely touch because Piper is a reporter. So this picture is also styled with such love and care to show who Piper is. She is this scrappy detective and reporter in this town in the apocalypse. And then down at the bottom, of course, a large group of people cosplaying the Mighty Nine from Critical Role, all of which are costumes that they made as a big group cosplay. All of these are art. It's all art. I know that I'm like repeating myself at this point because all of my presentations circle back to the same thing of, yes, cosplay is art. And cosplay and identity, one of the cool things is that, going back to exactly what we were just talking about, do it so long as you do it respectful. I love this example of Lucifer Bob and Arcady dressed as Michael and Janet from The Good Place because they both, I believe when this photo was taken, and I think still true, identify as a man and a woman, respectively. Lucifer Bob is a man, Arcady is a woman, but they gender bent the looks. And it's not that they changed them that much, but gender bending is like a really traditional cosplay practice of going, well, I would like to do the mask version of Janet, who is a traditionally femme character. Even though Janet is not a girl, she's a robot. It's fine. It's a joke from the show, I promise. A suit on a man and a suit on a woman, doing a femme version of a suit is not a big stretch. Doing a femme version of a matching vest and bottoms suit is just fun. This is just silly, good fun. And then, of course, the difference being like these two people were doing a funny gender bend and having a good laugh about it, including things like switching the skirt to pants and switching what would have been Oxfords probably on Michael into cute little ballet slippers for Arcady. But they still look like those characters. Like, you look at them and you go, oh yeah, these are the same characters between these two pictures. And then my first foray into cosplaying Aragorn, I was not gender bending Aragorn. I was not doing Lady Aragorn when I still identified as cisgendered. I was doing Aragorn. I was cosplaying a guy as, presenting myself as a masculine person. And this is where I found gender. I'm only kind of joking. But the difference here being that, like, they were exploring their identity through through the lenses of these characters. I was exploring my identity through the lens of the character in a completely opposite way. Yeah. I love this panel. Okay, so talking about specifically what it means to like be a queer cosplayer. Going back to the body politic of you have a body, but sometimes also the characters, they have bodies. And so this goes also into the conversation of like queer acting, queer voice acting, which is like, what does it mean to perform queerness, basically, is the question here. And the answer is all of these things are queer. And everything from doing what I was doing in the last panel of a person who identified differently than the character I was cosplaying, but trying to cosplay within that identity, respectfully. Versus this cosplay of Krem from Dragon Age Inquisition by Harry, who is a out trans cosplayer. And the character is also trans. So not only is the cosplayer making this a queer costume, but also the character is trans. So cosplay a trans character being cosplayed by a trans cosplayer, that just rocks. I don't know, there's everything about that that's great. I love the three mask people all with top surgery scars all in Spider-Man costumes. It's just such a like very specific cosplay vibe that you'll find a lot of this where it's just like, oh, so many people who cosplay Spider-Man are actually trans mask. I just think it's very funny. And then the character Tracer from Overwatch is canonically a lesbian. The cosplayer in this picture self-identifies as non-binary. I did a lot of research when I put this presentation together to make sure that I was representing all these people the way that they self-purport themselves to be very clear. I'm not outing anybody. I'm not telling, things that aren't mine to tell. You kind of start to see like all the little pieces, and also things like textual or subtextual or just funny queerness, like this Loki cosplayer kissing this Mobius cosplayer on the cheek. That's some queer stuff. And then my last example, which is one that I talked a little bit about super recently on this channel as well. Someone cosplaying Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. But specifically with this bandana that you see this giant arrow pointing to, is using signaling, the 1980s old queer code. So the bandana is meant to be also like it's not part of the original costume, and it is a fan thought that has existed about this character. I know very little about Stranger Things, but it was something that when I made this presentation was very, very topical, of people, looking at this character and going, black bandana in the bandana code. So that's the whole thing. Embrace what makes you unique, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Janelle Monáe, an out non-binary person who I love so much. Yeah. Oh, Fall Companions, thank you. I'm gonna drink my sparkling water. So yeah, that's my presentation bonanza over here. I have so many. I could make more. Yeah. So, cosplay, overall, as an idea, cosplay is a transformative work in reaction to existing art made by someone, compiled by someone, worn by someone, photographed by someone as art in reaction to another piece of media. That's it. And whether you buy it from a thrift store, borrow it from a friend, pull it out of your closet from clothing you already own, it's all cosplay. You're right, Bliss Starbean. Aspire to become your local cryptid. That's me. That's my goal in life. I have always been that local cryptid. I cosplayed while going to high school, and it made people very uncomfy. And I just think that that's funny. Yeah. Well, that's all the cosplay stuff I have for today. Maybe. I mean, I could keep going forever. But if you have any questions, we got a couple minutes. The wide breadth of it. Oh, the thing I didn't talk about a lot is also that, like, especially post 2020, the world of cosplay looks different. And so there are plenty of cosplayers that you'll only ever see their work on the internet. Cosplay is meant to be experienced through the various medias that it is created for. And so while most of these are convention photos or staged cosplay photography, there's also ways to cosplay. I think that PNG tubers can cosplay. The act of cosplay has now become a lot more digital, and in that regard a lot more accessible. You don't have to travel to a convention to do it. I mean, you could cosplay any day, anytime. I do it all the time. But to go to an event where other people will also be able to fan participate in cosplay is more accessible now. DKHB, my beloved mother, is asking, what is on your to-do list? Oh gosh. Well, okay. So next costumes for me, as I have time and energy. I really want to cosplay Lan from Wheel of Time. I feel like it's my destiny to do so. I just have to get my life together and find fabrics that I like. I also will be cosplaying, maybe not in the nearest future, just because time, but I'm working on a bunch of costumes from the High Republic. I've been percolating on them for a while. It will include my dearest and most belovedest Cantum Sai, the first canon non-binary Jedi Knight, who was made for me because they look like me and I love them so much. They're one of my absolute favorite characters in the High Republic. And also Stellan Gios, who is the Paladin Jedi in the High Republic, and I love him so much. And boy, does he try. Oh, right, you asked this earlier, Calico Boy, and I missed it, and I forgot to come back to it. Calico Boy is asking, which Zynon outfit is your favorite out of all of the arcs so far? My favorite Zynon costume has got to be Arc 2 still. I love all of them dearly, but being able to reimagine Zynon in a Sangxia world was such a treat, because literally Connie said, go whole ham. If you have cultural touchstones for your characters, put them in this, especially like dig into Eastern culture references. And so putting Zynon in a kimono and being able to put things like the embroidery and all of the like indigo dye and all that detail into it was so fun for me, because Zynon is definitely rooted in my experience as a mixed Japanese American person, and so being able to give him those clothes and give him a bow, which bows are very personal to me. I love archery very much, and so being able to fold in all the details of an archer and all of that stuff was so special. Patrick wants to see my dice. I'll happily show you some dice. I'm gonna do these guys. Oh my gosh, Erica had a whole unit on traditional dyes in color science class. Oh, I'm so jealous. That sounds like it was a great class. Traditional dyeing methods are so neat, and Japanese indigo is one of those colors that it's so hard to explain. But when you see it, you're like, ah, there it is. So here's some dice for you all. These are a real stone set. I'm going to try not to punch my microphone 1,000 times. Sorry, y'all. That are absolutely gorgeous. They're very blurry when I get them close to the camera. Sorry. But they are a obsidian dice set that I got from, I think, Cozy Gamer on Etsy 1,000 years ago. But they are with gold etched inlay, a real stone set, and they have good dice sound. I love them. They're one of my 2 stone sets. I use them for magic people. Oh, and more dice showing. OMG Flan also said, show us dice. I will show you. Oh, I have this. So for fans of Critical Role, this is one of my favorite dice that I have. And if you have watched a lot of Critical Role, you have heard of the famous Gil, the blacksmith, who forged a bunch of dice for the cast. A while ago, he did a Kickstarter where you could buy some. So I bought a hand-forged D20 from Gil, so I can legally say, don't fuck me, Gil, if I wanted to. But also it's just the scariest dice I've ever held, because it is solid steel. And when I drop it, get my dice tray out so you can really hear this. Oh, it's so soft, my dice tray. But you can hear it, especially when I'm in person rolling it. This is my scary DM dice that when it drops, it echoes. Yeah, I love dice. So yeah, well, thank you everybody for joining me for this kind of high level down to pretty granular dive into cosplay. Let me open my notes for the rest of today. So upcoming this week is busy. Tomorrow I will be making a guest appearance, and by guest appearance I mean surprise jaunt up to San Francisco. I will be live DMing at the Zero Proof Game Night up at the Game Developers Conference offsite event in San Francisco at the Gay Gaming Professional Zero Proof Game Night over at the Foundry. It is free to attend if you would like to, if you are in the area. I will link it here in chat. It's officially sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. We'll be running Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering all night at this alcohol-free event. It's a good time, and the game developers, the gay gaming professionals organization is so cool. As I said at the top of stream, like, they help get more queer voices into gaming, and so that's an easy yes from me. So that's gonna be really fun. So I'm zipping up to San Francisco tomorrow morning. And then I'll be back here on my channel on Thursday. We're going to play a little bit more Stray. We're probably going to get to the mid-tier of the city. Things are about to get real political in that game. It's very good. And then we're going to raid into another community event over at Lori's house for Tendervicious Studios' All Ages Club Night. We're going to have live music and dancing. It's going to be a good time. And then on Saturday, there will be no Chaos Protocol on Saturday over in Transplant RPG. We're going to do a community stream because March is busy for Transplanter people offline, if you haven't noticed already. But we're going to do a community stream. I think we have 3 different topics that we're going to be kind of maybe speed rounding through. We really like talking to each other. We're going to try and get through all of them. We're going to talk about safety tools, dramaturgy, and table culture, as well as media tropes we'd like to fist fight. Oh, I have so many. And we're going to host a very special PowerPoint presentation from C. I'm scared. It's going to be a really good time. So that's at the usual Chaos Protocol time of 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then I'm going to give a quick shout out on Sunday. There are 2 shows on Sunday that you should definitely go check out. One of them is Taino Tales' new Wildfire Club that just started yesterday. That is part of the Weird Earths series, home of the Mythic Initiative and the Doomsayers. So go give them some love over at the Wildfire Club. And I'm just afraid of what's going on over there. And then also on Sunday, premiering will be Bioshock Perdition over on Vault Companions, which they're going to be doing, I think, Kids on Bikes. But playing in the world of Bioshock in the city of Rapture, where nothing bad famously happens in that franchise. So yeah, go check them out too. Let's see. Yes, starring people in this chat, including Vault Companions and OMG Flan. So excited to see you all on your new adventure, and go check out the amazing graphic that Patrick from Vault Companions just enables me to make for them. I really like Bioshock. So please go check them out, and come check us out on Thursday over at Tendervicious Studios. And then following week, we get the premiere of Lori's House. I'm so excited. It has been 2 years in the making for the premiere of the new podcast series from Tendervicious Studios, all about family, about found family, community, and self exploration and actualization through memory. It is a Home We Remember actual play, and I am the architect, which is the game master of that series, and it is just my sincere honor to have been a part of that story. So go check out our premiere on Thursday, March 27th, and then if you're in California the following weekend, because I can't stop, won't stop being busy, on Saturday, March 29th, you can find me on not 1, but 2 panels at WonderCon in Anaheim. I will be on TTRPG content creators, combating imposter syndrome and burnout, with a bunch of amazing creators that you've definitely heard of in this space. And then in the evening, I'll be on a panel with more amazing creators that you've definitely heard of in this space about exploring identity through character creation in tabletop. It's going to be a blast. And then if that wasn't enough, the following week, I get to go back to Middle Earth, where I will be joining the cast of The Fourth Age over on Wounded Warrior Project Stream to Serve in Book 2 as that show continues, and I will be joining them as a main cast member going forward. So, plenty of stuff going on. In the meantime, thank you so much all for joining me as I sit here and scream about how much I love cosplay and love all of your cosplay, and it's just been a really nice stream. So thank you all, and thank you for all the support and love, and I will see you all on Thursday for more cat times, where I will meow at more people. In the meantime, Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody. Bye.